Hey, this is Kat from Red Mountain Shaman, and I share shamanic wisdom through dreams, visions, nature, synchronicities, intuition, channeling, art, music, photography, and shamanic journeys. Welcome back to my channel. So it's been a little longer than normal since I posted a video because I felt guided to let the Lionsgate portal play out and compile everything I experienced the past 2 weeks in one episode. This portal runs from July 28th to August 12th, with the peak energy being on the 8th, supposedly. In this episode, I will share the messages I've been receiving and spiritual work I've been doing over this time period, as well as a few oracle cards pertaining to this, some spirit animal encounters, some grid work I was guided to do, another psychopomp experience, and I will end with a short channeled message from my higher self and the Great Spirit to see if Spirit would like to expound on any of these things. So the first thing that happened was a clairaudient experience, and during this I heard a strange stream of television advertising and propaganda, and it seemed to be running non-stop, and there was also bees or hornets or both buzzing around my head. It was a little irritating. I heard the phrase hive mind, and I felt like there's two versions of the hive mind. From my perspective, there is the pure version that extends the bee medicine of unity, oneness, and cooperation, while at the same time remaining individually unique, independent, and diverse. The hijacked version of the hive mind promotes the breakdown of the sovereign individual, while instilling compliance, falling in line with the so-called norms of the surrounding society, and the concept of mindless drone or worker bees. The next day I was driving home and I felt something in my hair, and I was stung on my finger by a wasp or hornet as I tried to get it out. And I also had several more wasp encounters that week. That night I had a dream of having to scrape a hornet's nest off my shoe, but the hornets didn't hurt me. One thing that stood out to me about the hornet medicine is patience. The queen hornet hibernates during the winter and is patient until the right time comes to start rebuilding the colony in the spring. This may be symbolic of waiting patiently for the right time and resources to start rebuilding a new earth. I do see people already creating new timelines for themselves on an individual level, but I still feel this may have to do with certain events that still need to take place for the collective to move fully forward into the golden new age. The wasps can be seen as dangerous with their stingers, but in the dream they were just flying around me harmlessly. So it may be symbolic of divine protection. The fact that they were on the bottom of my shoe might also symbolize dominion over dangerous forces. Another thing I experienced was seeing several swans in a row. There was a near-perfect swan shape in the clouds one day. The next day, a part fell out of my brand new garden hose and it had the word swan on it. Then a swan appeared in an oracle reading. And finally, 3 YouTube videos in a row on channels I follow had swan photos on them. I always say if you have multiple encounters with a spirit animal in a short time, there is probably a message there for you. I looked this up, and what stood out to me was that in some Native American cultures, the swan is the symbol for a female shaman. If you go back and watch my video about grid work in the American Southwest, you can hear my story about this same thing that happened with the bear, and the bear is also being a symbol for a female shaman. So if you're on a shamanic path, your guides may give you messages like this about who you are and what you're doing here. The next thing that happened was I was laying in the river looking up at the clouds, and I saw 2 hearts. I feel like this might have something to do with divine unions, or what some might call twin flames. I'm not sure what it's about quite yet. But right before this video, I was scrolling through my feed and I saw a big heart cloud that someone posted on Facebook too. And it was really beautiful, almost looked like it was on fire, like a flaming heart. In the clouds that day, I also saw a tribal-looking figure that looked to be dancing with a staff in his hand. And I heard the words, shaman of dance and celebration, which felt like a message for the future to me. I've received the same message several times in different ways already, so it just feels like this message is being reinforced in a new way. The next day, I saw a more realistic-looking heart in the clouds with an aorta coming out of it, and I heard the phrases heart-centered, being in the heart space, heart chakra, lion heart, and pure in heart. Perhaps these are references to the state of those who will be moving into the new earth. On the peak energy day of Lionsgate Portal, I did a meditation in which I saw a white dragon with shimmering rainbow skin. And this dragon was one of the first beings to come to me when my shamanic ability started opening up. He was laying near a beautiful opening in the sky, or a portal with a rainbow-colored cloud surrounding it. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. It feels like maybe the portal's there and we're about to move through it, but it's not quite time yet. That's maybe what it felt like to me. So on the last day of the Lionsgate, the thought came into my mind to look up the dates of a nearby yearly powwow. I searched online and it happened to be that same day. I called my favorite place to stay nearby, which is usually sold out on the weekends, and miraculously, someone had canceled 2 minutes before I called, so I secured a room, quickly packed a bag, and we headed up to Idaho, as it seemed the spirit was guiding me there that day. I took a dip in the springs, and there was yet another swan in the form of a planter next to the pool that I have never noticed there before. Then we spent some time songwriting in our room. We came up with something that we were pretty pleased with. And lately I've been feeling a bit like I'm in the void for a while now, so it's been nice to have some creative energy flowing. We headed out to the powwow that night, and we walked around the entire circle as the participants were performing, and we walked by each vendor's booth. We stopped to watch the drumming and singing on the way out. The powerful songs are always so moving to me and often stir me to tears. I feel like this is another sign you may be on a shamanic path. If the sound of drums moves your soul and you feel compelled to listen or play them in an intensely heartfelt way, because this is one of the main tools of a shaman. I play drums in our band, as well as my drum in ceremony and in sessions. Embarrassingly enough, I have even been known to cry at the sound of high school bands as the drum section marches by in a parade. But I digress, back to the story. On the way home back from the powwow, I suddenly felt completely wiped out. It was almost as if I was 100 years old. I forced myself to go out for a walk with my husband around the little town we were staying in anyway. On the way back to our room this last night of the Lionsgate Portal, we saw a sign for a hotel that said Lionsgate. Of course we did. The next morning, I got up early and I went for another dip in the springs, surrounded by tall sunflowers and hollyhocks around the pool. I asked Spirit why I was so exhausted, and what I was shown was that I forgot to set intentions before I went into a big crowd of people, and that I was subconsciously sending healing energy out to everyone around me. This isn't necessarily always a bad thing, but it was just really depleted because I didn't set specific intentions or protection. So I needed to re-energize by laying in the sun and asking for source energy to fill me back up. I also did alternating hot and cold plunges, which really energizes your system. Then I was shown that there were more people who needed help crossing over. It felt like some of them may have died in the Maui fires. It also felt like there was one or more trapped spirits on the property we were staying at that needed help. I asked for guidance and protection before I embarked on this endeavor, and I saw Yeshua open up his arms, and I heard, "Bring them unto me." I also saw Archangel Michael, and I asked them to remove any lower vibrating attachments, and then raise to the vibration by showing the souls that you create your own reality. I created a beautiful garden and a pool of water, and I asked them to get in the water with me. I explained to them that the element of water is so purifying, and to let go of any fear and guilt. I then explained that they could go with Yeshua and Archangel Michael to a place where they could decide their next experience. I can't remember everything that I said, but it felt like most of them or all of them made the choice to go with them. After that, I asked if there was any other way that I could be of service while I was there. I was shown a triangular small mountain with a rock formation at the tip of it, and we saw this mountain when we drove in. It resembled a bit of a pyramid. I was asked to activate it. As I was sending energy and intention, I saw a violet-pink triangle line of energy outline the pyramid, which is interesting because in an online tarot reading earlier in the week, the reader said, "I don't know who this is for, but I keep seeing a triangle." After this triangular energy was activated, I saw a beam of blue light coming down into it. My feeling is that I was seeing a balance of masculine and feminine energy harmonizing together to create a new flow and new codes. I was told that this mountain was previously shut down and affected by dark forces, and that its natural flow was now being restored as part of the grids, and it was now generating positive energy out into the area to bring balance to the land and to the people. After I did all this work in the hot springs, I went to get some complimentary breakfast with my husband, and we sat near a woman who ran a ghost touring outfit. I asked her if they had experienced anything last night, and she showed me a photo she caught of a gray spirit figure walking next to the pools. I later asked Spirit if it was a shadow figure, and I was told that it was more like a troubled soul who had taken his own life, and that he just enjoyed the tranquil energy at the pools. I'm now wondering if what I saw in her photo was one of the souls that needed to be crossed over. Before we left for home, I did a quick scroll through my feed, and I saw a man who rescued a baby hummingbird and nursed it back to health until it could fly again, and I shared it on my wall. When we got home, we both felt the energy was a bit different in Utah than in other states when we travel, and not in a very good way. I decided to visualize the Star of Yeshua and a Merkaba over the whole state of Utah, and I asked for protection over this area. Then I decided to draw an oracle card about this to see if there was anything I needed to do, and I pulled the hummingbird card and the Merkaba card. These cards both talked about being in flow with the divine and also about divine grace. Then I pulled one more card to clarify these cards, and this card also mentioned the word grace. I will read what stood out to me in each card. The first card is from the Earth Warriors Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild, and it's card number 28. I think it's pronounced Kente, and it has the hummingbird on it. Sweet Paradox of Empowering Grace is the name of the card. When the mind says no, but the heart leaps with joy, we are ripe for a transmission of empowering grace. The sweet paradox is that the more impossible the situation appears to be, the more we are supported through grace, and our divine success manifests swift and complete. Let the faith of the heart overcome doubt. Allow your mind to be filled with wonder at the unlimited power of the divine, and you shall bear witness to sacred manifestation. When there is something within your heart that you know you are on this planet to accomplish, you will be given equal grace, power, talent, and ability to succeed in that mission. This is the divine promise and sacred plan for you. If a miracle is required for your success, then one shall be given. Pray with courage and with confidence for your rightful divine inheritance, and allow your bold heart and loving soul to believe in your beautiful, hope-filled destiny. And then there's a part that says spiritual guidance. Kente, the sky jewel of the Andes, brings you hummingbird, who bears the soul medicine of spiritual grace, the evolution to conquer any obstacle, and the extraordinary power of the heart. The concept of spiritual grace can be challenging to the mind. We often don't realize just how much we have been conditioned to subconsciously demand that progress in our lives be difficult. Even whilst at a conscious level, we bemoan the struggle and wish that things could be easier. We want help, but we believe that we are unworthy, or that we have to earn our success completely off the back of our own efforts. Whilst the divine wants us to engage and participate in the fulfillment of our destiny, if we do not surrender our arrogance and learn how to surrender spiritually, we will never fulfill our potential. There is a way to allow for spiritual grace so that any obstacle can be surmounted, even the invisible ones that seem to block your progress from some unknown source. It is not a question of needing to become more powerful, but rather of your relationship to the divine, needing to become more vitalized. Then, grace can flow, creating success in the same situations that would have otherwise defeated you. When hummingbird brings you medicine, you have a high spiritual destiny, one that is going to triumph against apparently insurmountable odds stacked against you. And the card goes on a little bit, but that was the main part I wanted to read. And then the cards that clarified this concept of grace were from the Isis deck. And the first one had the Merkaba on it, and it's called Chariot of Ascension Merkaba. A spiritual practice has come or is soon coming into your attention that will help your soul journey. Take your time to develop and practice your chosen spiritual discipline regularly. This will help you grow in power and grace, anchoring the spiritual light within the body of your soul. And then the second card is called the Brother in Darkness. Whenever negative energy is present, it is a sign that we are ready to move more deeply into our feminine divine power. You shall overcome any negative energy with grace and triumph. Stay in your heart. There is no need to be afraid. So I've not stepped foot into any kind of organized religious service in many years, but when I was growing up Mormon, we were taught that salvation came by works and not grace. I think that being in divine flow or in communion with the divine, we are given grace, and through this grace we begin to discern just when to be in that flow and when is the right time to act. So in that sense, it's actually a combination of grace and works. I asked Spirit if there was anything that needed to be expounded upon, and this is what I heard. Dearest daughter of light, we would have you listen to us for further explanations as to what is transpiring through portals and stargates of sacred sites. Some of these sites are humble in origin and unknown, and others are very famous within communities of spiritual seekers. You have worked with both, for one is not more important over another. And so it is with my children, as I love each of you individually, regardless of your fame or status in life. I am no respecter of persons, and I balance justice with mercy regarding the choices that each person makes on their soul journey through various endless experiences. At this magnificent time on earth, you are experiencing continuous upgrades of light through the activation of the grids, ley lines, portals, and stargates, as well as through solar light codes that are coming in with quite the intensity now. Although the scientists on your planet cannot explain why the greatest solar activity in recorded history is now occurring, it is known by those who are in daily communion with me what is happening as your bodies are changing and integrating this new light. You are on track with your assessment of your synchronicities and what Spirit is speaking to you, as you are a seeker and are always desiring communion with the Most High. Be at peace and know that though a battle is playing out, there is great power in this communion. Divine communion is your lifeline. Nothing is of greater consequence. So be it. I am the Great Spirit that flows through all creation. Thank you, Great Spirit. So I think what is being referred to here with the more famous site that I have worked with is what the dark forces like to call Devil's Tower. The Native Americans consider this site very sacred, and I was actually given a different name for it. I was guided to drive up there in 2020, and unbeknownst to me as I was planning this trip, it also ended up being right during the Lionsgate portal, and we were at Devil's Tower on the peak energy day on the 8th of August. We experienced some really fascinating things there, and I may share that in an upcoming video, so stay tuned. So the last day that I was at the hot springs, there was a kind of a statue of Ganesh, and he is the god or the remover of obstacles. And I gave him a sunflower, and I asked him to help humanity remove the obstacles that we are facing right now. If you want to communicate outside of a session with me, the best place would be to message me in the comment section of the videos or leave a comment. If you'd like to support my work or you feel the call, simply press like, subscribe, and the notification bell. You can also support me by purchasing our music on Bandcamp or booking a session with me where you will receive your own personal channeled message from Spirit. And you can access that in the links below. Have a great week and remain free, my friends. I'll make a new video soon.